They held no thrones, no crowns graced their heads, no armies answered their commands, and yet they moved through the corridors of power, shared meals in magnificent banquet halls, and made their homes within the world's most formidable palaces. Across the centuries, people with dwarfism occupied a distinctive position within royal courts. They served as performers, confidants, servants, and occasionally silent observers to the dramatic unfolding of empires. While history books seldom record their experiences, they made an indelible mark on royal life. Beneath the spectacle and applause lay a far more intricate reality, one shaped by privilege, hardship, confidences, and resilience. When we envision royal courts, our minds typically conjure images of armored soldiers, noblemen draped in elegant fabrics, or advisors cloaked in formal attire. But tucked away in history's margins are the narratives of people with dwarfism, diminutive in height, yet commanding in their presence. Rather than merely occupying the background, they fulfilled genuine functions within palace walls. In numerous courts, individuals with dwarfism weren't simply employed for amusement, they became integrated members of the royal household. They worked as personal assistants to queens, companions to princes and princesses, and occasionally even protectors for nobles during their travels. Their continual closeness to those in power gave them a front row seat to the most private dimensions of court existence. What made them trustworthy? Partly, their distinctive physical characteristics caused royals to perceive them as harmless and devoted. Across various cultures, there existed beliefs that people with dwarfism possessed spiritual significance or brought good luck. They were frequently exchanged as presents to represent fortune or social standing. After entering the palace, they could develop intimate connections with monarchs and become a subtle yet meaningful element of everyday existence. Within royal courts, appearance was everything. A monarch's wardrobe choices, their collection of animals, their cuisine, and their entourage all communicated a clear declaration to observers: "Behold my might." People with dwarfism were frequently woven into this carefully crafted image, not as objects of ridicule, but because their uncommonness transformed them into markers of distinction. Picture entering an audience chamber where gold gleams from every surface. Unusual birds soar above, and exceptional individuals, including those with dwarfism, attend the sovereign. This transcended mere opulence. It was performance art. These courts functioned as breathing exhibitions, and people with dwarfism were sometimes regarded as living treasures within their walls. In settings such as the Spanish Habsburg court, individuals with dwarfism appeared in formal paintings, adorned in costly garments, occasionally sporting jewels or carrying decorative accessories. They were positioned close to monarchs in these artworks, underscoring their recognized status in aristocratic society. Having a person with dwarfism present indicated prosperity, influence, and sophistication. Yet underneath this splendor existed a far more layered narrative, one that encompassed the paths these individuals traveled to arrive there. Unlike aristocratic courtiers, most people with dwarfism didn't voluntarily enter palace service. The decision was made for them. Some came from impoverished families who hoped their offspring might find better circumstances working for royalty. Others were found by royal talent seekers or aristocratic traders who recognized a rare commodity and brought the individual to court. In certain instances, people with dwarfism were purchased, much like the exotic creatures collected by the wealthy elite. Throughout the 16th and 17th centuries in Europe, an understated commerce in individuals with dwarfism existed. Some were transferred as offerings between noble families, intended to demonstrate affluence or strengthen political connections. Similar customs prevailed in the Ottoman Empire, North African kingdoms, and Mughal India. A person with dwarfism entering a court might be clothed in luxurious fabrics and displayed before visitors, but the underlying truth was frequently more troubling. While certain individuals enjoyed comfortable lives, others became separated from their relatives, possessed no autonomy, and were obligated to devote themselves entirely to palace duties. Residing in a palace appears idyllic, but the reality hinged completely on one's circumstances. For people with dwarfism, court existence could be volatile. Some received genuine affection and honor from the families they attended. They were granted personal chambers, fine garments, and permission to converse openly with royalty. Some even received instruction in literacy, writing, and proper courtly behavior. However, not every experience ended well. Numerous individuals with dwarfism were assigned particular duties, such as court fools or performers, and faced expectations to entertain whenever demanded. They might be asked to dance, vocalize songs, deliver verses, or even take part in humorous routines that mocked their physical appearance. Declining could result in severe consequences or removal from the palace. Even their wardrobe could be dictated. While nobility wore ornate garments, people with dwarfism were sometimes clothed in vivid or peculiar outfits designed to draw notice. During public occasions, they might be displayed throughout the chambers during feasts or celebrations. Despite all this, many found ways to cope. They developed strong relationships with young royals, served as trusted advisors, and cultivated understated power within the court's social hierarchy. One of the most peculiar episodes in court history involves the notorious dwarf wedding orchestrated in the 1700s by an influential European ruler. This occasion was far from a typical union. It was an elaborate spectacle featuring royal transportation, gold, embellished clothing, and numerous attendees. Every single participant, from the newlyweds to the attendees, performers, and even the religious officiant, was someone with dwarfism. The purpose: it existed solely to delight the court. The concept of a scaled-down royal wedding captivated aristocrats, and this manufactured occasion aimed to astonish and amuse. While the participants were actual people, the ceremony was meticulously orchestrated to resemble a life-sized marionette performance. It serves as evidence that even when people with dwarfism occupied the spotlight, they weren't always recognized as autonomous beings, but rather as components of an extravagant demonstration of riches and peculiarity. Sometimes, history reveals something even more complicated when a child with dwarfism was born into a royal or aristocratic lineage. In a society fixated on appearances, a royal offspring with dwarfism could be perceived as undermining the family's projection of power. In various places, these youngsters were nurtured discreetly out of public view. Families might shield them from societal judgment, relocating them to secluded properties or religious establishments. But not all situations remained hidden. Certain royal children with dwarfism received open acceptance. A handful were provided with education, expensive clothing, and duties comparable to their brothers and sisters. These exceptional instances demonstrate that perspectives differed. Some courts embraced more progressive thinking, while others attempted to hide what they couldn't comprehend. Regrettably, because of the confidentiality of that era, many such narratives remained incomplete. Yet hints in royal documentation and private writings suggest these children existed, and their lives were as varied and nuanced as those of any other royal offspring. Art emerged as one of the rare spaces where people with dwarfism in royal courts were genuinely acknowledged. Particularly, the Spanish artist Diego Velázquez departed from convention. Rather than depicting people with dwarfism as laughable figures, he rendered them with respect and complexity. His paintings present them not as peripheral elements, but as distinct persons. One striking portrait of Sebastian de Mora depicts him sitting in solitude, staring directly forward, without a smile, without theatrical posing, simply being. In that instance, the observer must look past the clothing and recognize the person underneath. These paintings transcend mere artistry. They serve as documentation, confirmation that these individuals existed, held significance, and merit our remembrance. As years progressed and monarchies started declining, the presence of people with dwarfism in royal courts faded away. The practice of maintaining individuals with dwarfism as emblems of luck or marvel grew obsolete, and emerging concepts regarding human worth and equality started gaining ground. Yet for numerous generations, they participated in something far greater than individual experience. Their existences were molded by political maneuvering, the appetite for marvel, and the impulse to dazzle. Some achieved prominent roles, others disappeared from the historical record. Countless identities were lost to time, But their influence persists, subtly inscribed in paintings, correspondence, and the margins of royal chronicles. The experiences of people with dwarfism in royal courts rank among history's most captivating and multi-layered. They weren't monarchs, yet they accompanied them. They weren't always autonomous, yet they inhabited the epicenter of authority. Their narratives prompt us to reconsider our understanding of rank, recognition, and the diverse forms of influence. They teach us that history isn't solely created by the most prominent voices present. Sometimes it's the most unassuming figure nearby, the one dressed in silk, grasping a decorative item, or quietly sharing wisdom with a queen who holds the most profound story imaginable.